You are the most important thing you own. The most valuable things you have are your life, your ability, and your options. So, the most important thing in your life should be to reach your full potential and become everything you can be. You have an infinite capacity to learn, grow, and reach your full potential. People today finish high school and college in their 70s, learn new things, and get better at things they already know how to do. If you keep your brain healthy, aware, and working at its best, you can learn and remember things for a long time. Your ability to make money is your most valuable tool when it comes to money. Your skill to work is the main way you'll make money throughout your life. Anyone could lose their house, car, bank account, or everything they own, but if they can still work, they can get it all back and more in the months and years to come. Most people don't know this, but your biggest investment is in yourself. They don't think much about how much money they can make, but it's taken you your whole life to learn how to make money. You have built this product with all the schooling, experience, and hard work you have put into learning your job and getting better at it. Your power to make money is a lot like a muscle. It can get bigger and stronger over time if you work it out regularly. In the same way, the reverse is also true. Your ability to make money, like your muscles, can get weaker or even fall apart if you don't keep improving it. This is especially true if you let it slide. To put it another way, your income potential can either increase in value or decrease in value. An increasing asset is something that keeps getting better and more valuable over time, bringing in more money every year. On the other hand, a depreciating asset is something that loses value over time until it is written off as having little or no value left. You can choose whether your ability to make money is getting better or worse every month and every year. Imagine that you are the CEO of your own personal services company. You're going to sell shares of your company on the stock market, I believe. Would you recommend your business as a growth stock that keeps getting more valuable and making more money every year? Or would you say that your business has reached a plateau in the market and isn't really going anywhere in terms of making more money or increasing its value? Do you think that investing in you Inc. stock would be a good idea? If not, why not? You won't get anywhere from where you are now, because they don't keep learning new things. Some people are actually losing value every year and becoming less able to make money. They don't understand that the skills and knowledge they have now are quickly becoming useless because new skills and knowledge are coming out all the time. You run the risk of being surpassed by your rivals if you don't have them and someone else does. Become part of the top 20%. I talked about the 80-20 rule for cash in the first part. 80% of the assets in our society are owned and earned by the top 20% of people. A lot of sources, including Forbes, Fortune, Businessweek, the Wall Street Journal, and the IRS, say that the richest 1% of Americans own up to 33% of all assets. The most interesting thing that has been learned about income inequality is that most millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires in the United States are first generation. They had almost no money to begin with and made it all on their own in one lifetime. In America, there is a lot of income mobility, which means you can go from having a low income to a high income. Most of the people in the top 20% today were in the bottom 20% at some point. After that, they changed how they spent their time and lived their lives, which put them firmly on the path to financial success. No limits on what you can do. In the United States, the average income rises by about 3% per year, which is about the same rate as inflation and the cost of living. When someone's pay goes up by 3% a year, they rarely get ahead. The fact that they have a job can also be seen as a way to say, just over broke. There is no one smarter or better than you, though. If someone is doing better than you right now, it just means they have learned how the law of cause and effect works in their work, and have started doing the things that other great people have done. To use the law of cause and effect in your everyday life, you need to learn and do. Being personally excellent is either a choice you make or one you don't. If you don't want to be the best at what you do, though, you'll automatically settle for average or even mediocre results. No one gets better by chance or by just going to work every day. To be excellent, you have to make a firm choice and stay committed for life. The keys to the 21st century are skill and knowledge. You have to be self-disciplined your whole life if you want to be the best person you can be and reach the top of your field. Fitting your mind is like working out your body. You have to put in constant effort if you want to get either. Don't ever stop. That means you have to keep learning and growing every day, week and month in your job and other parts of your life if you want to stay in the top 20%. You need to learn more if you want to make more money. As Abraham Lincoln said, the fact that some have become wealthy is proof that others may do it as well. If you learn how, you can do what other people have done. Everyone who is now at the top used to be at the bottom. A lot of well-known people in their areas came from average or poor families with average wages or grew up in all kinds of situations. You can also do what tens of thousands or even millions of other people have done. The best proof that something can be done is that someone else has already done it, wrote the philosopher Bertrand Russell. Going from normal to amazing, you often see people who don't seem as smart or skilled as you are, but are still doing amazing things with their lives. Watching someone who looks stupider than you do, better than you, will make you more angry than anything else. How is this possible? Answer is easy. At some point, they understand that growing as people and in their careers is the key to success. I believe that their success was due to their commitment to constant learning. The good news is that you can learn almost any important skill. You can learn any business skill. The people who are good at any business skill were all beginners in that skill at some point. You can learn every business skill. Every successful seller started out as someone who couldn't make calls or close deals. You can learn all the skills you need to make money. Almost everyone who is rich used to be poor. You can learn anything you want to reach your goal. Decide what you want to do. Making a choice is the first step toward becoming one of the best qualified, most respected, and highest paid people in your area. Every significant change in your life, according to what I've heard, happens when you have a new thought and decide to try something different. You decide whether to finish school, get better at something, or get into a good college. You decide that you want to start a new business. You choose whether to take a certain job or begin a certain career. In particular, you choose to be the best at what you do by deciding to spend your money in a certain way. A lot of people say they want to be rich, healthy, happy, and thin. But, as we talked about in Chapter 4, hope and wanting is not enough. You have to be very clear that you are willing to pay any price and go any distance to reach your goals. After making that choice, you need to burn all mental bridges with those people. After that, you decide to keep improving yourself and your skill until you're in the top 20% or higher. You should follow the stars instead of the fans if you want to be one of the best in your field. Look around you and find the people who are already there. What are some things they have in common? How do they make plans for their days? What do they wear? How do they talk, walk, and act around other people? What do they read? What do they like to do in their free time? With whom do they hang out? What kinds of classes did they take? In their cars, what radio shows do they enjoy? These are some things you can ask to find out what great people do that you might want to take up yourself. In the end, you can't hit something you can't see. The people you choose as role models can have a huge effect on your future. Harvard professor and author of The Achieving Society, Dr. David McClelland, came to the conclusion that the reference group you choose can affect your success in life by up to 95%. People who you think are a lot like me make up your reference group. You naturally tend to take on the beliefs, behaviors, and ways of life of the people you spend most of your time with and connect with. Join the eagles in the sky. A person who came to one of my seminars many years ago told me his story. Back when Bob Barton was in his 20s, he worked for a big company with 32 salespeople in his office. It was his first real job, and because he was new, he was starting at the bottom. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together, and that's what he did. Following a month or two, Bob saw that the best sellers in the office were also linked to each other. They didn't hang out with the new sellers and did other things with their time. The best sellers were already at work when Bob got there in the morning. They were planning their days, going over the phone, and making meetings. The younger sellers would also come in later, read the newspaper, drink coffee, and make reasons for not making sales calls, Bob saw. Bob decided that he would try to be like the best sellers in the company. He planned to dress and groom himself the same way they did after seeing how they did it. He would look at himself in the mirror every morning and ask, "Do I look like one of the best salespeople in my office?" If they said no, he would change his clothes again and again until he thought he looked as good as the best people. Before 8:30 a.m., he started to come into the office and plan his day, to be ready to call his clients as soon as they were free to meet with him. One day, Bob asked one of the best sellers what book or radio program he thought would help him. It turns out that great people are always ready to help others get better. Bob went out and bought the book and the radio program as soon as he got the suggestion. Following reading the book and listening to the show, he gave his opinion to the top seller. This time, the best seller told him more things to read and listen to, which Bob did. When Bob asked another seller how he planned his day, that person showed him how he kept track of time. Bob started to order his day the way the best sellers did. Bob began to make more meetings, meet more leads, and make more sales after taking these top salespeople as examples and trying to be like them all the time. He quickly became one of the best sellers in the office, and it only took 6 months. The best sellers had already asked him to coffee and lunch, so he stopped being one of the less experienced people and became one of them. Bob met a lot of important people from all over the country at the national sales meeting the following year. He went out of his way to find them and asked for their advice. What books did they think he should read? Then what radio apps do they suggest? What kinds of workshops did they go to? What did they experiment with and find worked best to grow their sales business? Bob did something that not many people do. He did what he was told when he got advice. He followed the advice right away and then told the people who gave it to him what he had done. Bob became one of the best sellers in the country in just 4 years. People he knew and worked with were the other top sellers in his branch and the other branches. His pay had gone up several times. He looked great, drove a brand new car, lived in a beautiful house, and was married to a wonderful woman. And he said that everything came about as a result of asking the best salespeople for advice and then using that advice in his sales efforts. But here's the catch. The best people, the ones who won sales awards year after year, told Bob the same thing over and over. He was the first person who ever asked them for help. They had never been asked by anyone else why they were so good. Every answer has been found. I've found something great. Every answer has been found. All the ways to be successful have been found. A lot of people, maybe even thousands, have already learned everything you need to know to get to the top of your field. If you ask them for help, they will give it to you. To help other people be successful, successful people will put their work aside, hold their phone calls, and stop other plans. But you have to ask them for help and then follow their advice. Read their books, go to their talks, and attend their workshops if you can't talk to them directly. Listen to radio programs that were made by people who are famous. You can email them and ask for help sometimes. Take it from the best. Aim for a lot of money. Find out what the top 20% of earners in your field are currently getting, if that's your goal. You can get this information. You can find this information if you look for it. Just ask around, look at research on the subject, or use Google. Once you know how much money you want to make, write it down as your goal. Plan how you're going to make this much money and work on it every day. Don't give up until you get there. It's easy to make a lot of money in sales and business. Just learn and do. Every time you raise your car one notch, you get better. When you learn and practice a new skill, you increase your earning potential. This increase stays with you as long as you keep growing your earning potential. You keep ratcheting up to a higher level from which you rarely drop. Investing in yourself with the 3% method will ensure your success for life. Make the choice right now to put 3% of your income back into yourself. Today seems to be the best day to start learning something new every day. A group called the American Society for Training and Development says that this is how much the 20% of companies in every field that make the most money spend in their employees' training and development. Today, decide to put 3% of your pay into yourself so that you can become a product that is worth more than you paid for it, to keep getting better at making money. If you want to make $50,000 a year, swear to yourself that you will put 15% of that amount, or $1,500, back into yourself every year to keep your knowledge and skills up to date. I promise to put $3,000 back into myself every year until I hit my income goal of $100,000. The reward is really great. A few years ago, I was giving a class in Detroit. During a break, a young man about 30 years old came up to me. He told me that about 10 years ago, he came to my class for the first time and heard my 3% rule. In that moment, he had quit college, was living at home, drove an old car, and made around $20,000 a year as an office-to-office marketer. He chose right after the lecture to use the 3% rule on himself, and he did so right away. He figured that 3% of his $20,000 pay, or $600, would be that amount. Every day he read the books he bought on sale. He bought 2 radio programs to help him learn how to organize his time and make sales. He went to 1 sales class. That's right, he spent all $600 on himself to get better. In that 1 year, his income went from $20,000 to $30,000, which is a boost of 50%. He said that the rise was directly linked to what he had learned and used from the books and radio programs he had read and listened to. So, the next year, he put $300, or 3% of $30,000, back into himself. His pay went from $30,000 to $50,000 that year. He began to wonder, if investing 3% of my income in myself makes my income go up by 50% per year, what would happen if I invested 5%? The following year, he put $2,500, or 5% of his pay, into his study program. In order to learn more, he went to more conferences across the country, bought more radio and video learning tools, and even hired a part-time guide. That same year, he made twice as much money, or $100,000. His next move, like in Texas Hold'em, was to go all in. He increased his investment in himself to 10% per year. He told me that since then he had been doing this. I said, "Wow, that's a lot of money. How do you manage to spend that much money on personal development?" He said, "I have an image coach, a sales coach, and a speaking coach. I have a large library in my home with every book, audio program, and video program. What you need most to become a top person in your field is focus and hard work. To become the best in your field, you can follow these 3 easy steps. 1. Read something related to your field for an hour every day before you start working. You should turn off the TV and radio and put down the newspaper. 2. In your car, listen to educational radio programs. Pause and resume the programs as you go so that you have time to think about what you heard and how you can use the information at work. 3. Regularly go to workshops and courses in your field. You can even take online courses from the comfort of your own home. These courses will help you improve your skills and give you useful ideas you can use to be even more successful. In the same way that compound interest is amazing, the more you learn, the more you can learn. The more you learn, the smarter you get, and the better your brain works. Your memory and ability to remember things get better. The more you learn, the more connections you find between things you've learned before and things you learn later. Never stop learning and growing. Mastery. How long does it take to become mastery in your field? According to experts, it takes about 7 years or 10,000 hours of hard work. It takes 7 years to become a master salesperson, a successful business person, a great diesel mechanic, or a great brain surgeon. It seems to take 7 years or 10,000 hours of hard work. By committing to excellence, you can start the process of becoming a master. I have never met someone who decided to be in the top 20% of their field and then didn't get there, and I have never met someone who got there without making that decision. It's important to make the decision and then follow through with continuous, purposeful, disciplined action. Talent alone is not enough, as I said earlier. Many people work at the same job for years and never get above average. They do their job from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but they never do anything to improve their skills. They won't spend any time learning their craft unless their company pays for it and gives them time off to do it. Because they do an average job, they earn an average income and worry about money their whole lives. They never realize that oft. 2 extra hours a day will get you to the top. It's been calculated that you only need to put in about 2 extra hours a day to go from being average to being great. 14 years of worrying about money will turn into being one of the highest paid people in your field with just 2 extra hours a day. People ask, where am I going to get 2 extra hours a day? It's easy. Write down the number of hours in a week. 7 days times 24 hours equals 168 hours. Take away 40 hours for work and 56 hours for sleep, leaving you with 72 hours. Take away 3 hours per day, or 21 hours, for getting ready for work and traveling to and from work, leaving you with 51 hours to do whatever you want. If you put 2 hours a day, 14 hours a week, into yourself, you'll still have 37 hours left over, which is more than 5 hours a day. All you need to do is spend 2 hours a day improving your performance from average to superior at whatever you choose to do. Make it a habit to keep learning. The good news is that when you start reading books on personal or professional development, listening to audio programs, some adults watch 7 or 8 hours of TV every day. They watch it first thing in the morning until they leave for work, and then they watch it again as soon as they get home from work. At night, they watch it until 11 or 12 o'clock, so they don't get enough sleep. In the morning, they wake up, drink coffee, and watch TV for as long as they can. You decide whether you are rich or poor. Your TV can make you rich or poor. If you watch it all the time, it will make you poor. Psychologists have found that the more TV you watch, the lower your energy and self-esteem. If you sit there and watch TV for hours on end, you don't like or respect yourself as much. People who watch too much TV also gain weight and get physically unfit from sitting around all day. When you turn off the TV, you get more time to work on becoming a better, smarter, or more competent person. When you don't watch TV with your family, you'll talk, share, communicate, and laugh more often. When you don't watch TV for long periods of time, you break the habit of watching it, and you won't miss it at all. You can make 1,000 times as much money over the next 10 years by following a simple 7-step plan. First, answer this question. Is it possible for you to improve your overall performance, productivity, and output by 1%, that's 1,000th, in a working day? The answer is probably yes. You could easily increase your output by 1% in a day if you managed your time better and worked on more important tasks. Could you improve your work by 0.1% the next day? The answer is yes, of course. If you improved your work by 0.1% on Monday and Tuesday, could you keep doing it on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? The answer is yes, once more. That's 50% per week. 50% times 5 days a week is 50% per week. Is it possible for a regular, smart, hard-working person to increase their output by 0.5% or 0.1% in just 1 week? Of course it is. Could you keep up the same rate of personal growth after the first week? The second week, of course, you could. Could you get 1/1000th of 1% better 5 days a week for an entire month? If you could, this means that you would be 1/2 of 1% better per week, multiplied times 4 or 2% more productive in an entire month. There are 13 4-week months in a year. 4 times 13 equals 52. Having become 2% better in a month, could you repeat that in the second month, in the third month, the fourth month, and so on? Of course you could, by working on yourself a little bit each day, learning new skills, getting better at your key tasks, setting priorities, and focusing on higher value activities. You can become 26% more productive over the course of an entire year. Having achieved this goal for the first year, could you do it for the second year and then the third? Could you keep it up for 10 years? And the answer, of course, is yes. And the best news is that when you continue to work on yourself, it becomes easier and easier for you to get better and better as the weeks and months go by the law of accumulation or the law of incremental improvement. By the end of 12 months, you would be 26% better. If you continue to improve at 26% per year, by the end of 10 years with compounding, you could be 1,004% more productive. Your income would increase at the same rate. This formula works if you do. There are 7 steps in the 1,000% formula. Step 1. Arise 2 hours before your first appointment or before you have to be at work. Invest the first hour in yourself by reading something educational, motivational, or spiritual. As Henry Ward Beecher once said, the first hour is the rudder of the day. When you get up and invest the first hour in yourself, you set yourself up mentally to have an excellent day. You'll be more positive, alert, creative, and productive all day long when you start your day by investing the first hour in yourself. If you read in your field 1 hour per day, that will translate into about 1 book per week. 1 book per week will translate into about 50 books per year. Says the average adult reads less than 1 non-fiction book per year. If you were to read 50 books in your field each year, do you think that would give you an edge in your profession? Do you think that it would move you ahead of virtually everyone else in your business? Of course it would. If you read 50 books per year for 10 years, this would be 500 books that would help you to improve your productivity, performance, and income. At the very least, you would need a bigger house just to hold your books, and you'd be able to afford it. Reading 1 hour per day in your field will make you a national authority in 3 to 5 years. This alone can give you your 1,000% increase over the course of your career. Step 2. Write down your goals again every day. Get a spiral notebook and write down your 10 most important goals in the present tense every morning before you start your day. Don't look back at what you wrote the day before. This is how you program your mind to follow your instructions. If you do this every morning, you'll see and think of opportunities to reach your goals all day long, which will help you stay focused. Step 3. Plan your day ahead of time. Make a list of your tasks and decide what's most important before you start. Being able to choose the most important thing to do at any given time is the key to organizing your life and doubling your productivity. We'll talk more about time management techniques in Chapter 12. Working on your top priorities can increase your income by 1,000% over 10 years, which is quite likely impossible. Step 4. Train yourself to focus on just one thing at a time. Pick the most important thing you can do each day, start working on it right away, and keep at it until it's completely finished. If you can focus and concentrate, you will double your output, performance, and productivity in the next month, and it will give you a 1,000% increase over 10 years. Fifth, listen to educational audio programs in your car. The average business person who drives spends 500 to 1,000 hours a year in their car. If you turn your car into a mobile classroom, you can learn as much as you would in 1 or 2 full-time college semesters while you drive. This is how many people have gone from poor to rich, by just listening to educational audio programs in their cars as they drive. Step 6. After every call or event, ask yourself 2 magic questions. The first is, what did I do right? Then you should ask yourself, what would I do differently? In the first question, what did I do right? Forces you to think through and recall all the correct things that you did in that last meeting, presentation, or event, even if it was not successful. Write them down. The second question, what would I do differently? When you review your performance and think about what you did well and what you would do differently next time, you train yourself to do even better. This is one of the fastest and most powerful exercises I have ever found for personal growth and development. This process dramatically speeds up the RA. Step 7. Treat every person you meet like a $1 million customer. Treat each person you meet and work with, both at home and in the office, as though he or she is the most important person in the world. When you treat people as if they are valuable and important, they will return the favor by treating you as if you are valuable and important as well. They will want to be associated with you, work for you, buy from you, and introduce you to their friends. You begin treating people like $1 million customers by starting at home with the members of your family. Remember, they are the most important people in your life. So, when you start your day well, first thing in the morning, by making the members of your family feel important and telling them that you love them, you'll be more positive, relaxed, and happier for the rest of the day. Fully 85% of your success will be determined by how much people like and respect you, especially in business and sales. Never miss an opportunity to treat people well. You will be amazed at how much your life, work, and income change and improve if you follow these 7 steps every day for a month. After a month of regular practice, you'll have formed a new habit of continuous personal improvement that can carry you onward and upward for the rest of your life. The best lifelong personal development and the commitment to personal excellence require a lot of discipline, willpower, and dedication. I learned that success and failure are not random events. People who are successful in any area usually knew the cause and effect links between what they wanted and how to get it. They then did what other successful people did in that area over and over again until they got the same results. This realization changed my life. No one is really better or smarter than you. Personal and professional development is the most powerful tool that you can use to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. You can move yourself from wherever you are to wherever you want to go by simply learning how others have done it before you, and then by following the paths that they have already blazed. You've heard it said that the average person uses only 10% of his or her potential. According to the Stanford Brain Institute, however, it is actually closer to 2%. The average person has enormous reserves of potential that he or she habitually fails to use. Nature is exceedingly generous. She provides each person with an abundance of abilities and possibilities, most of which go untapped throughout life. If you were to use only a small additional percentage of your inborn capabilities, you could probably double and triple your results. You could accomplish things far beyond anything that you have ever done up to now. You could be healthier, happier, and more prosperous than you've ever imagined. I believe that everyone can do something amazing with their life. I believe that everyone has a giant waiting to come out. I believe that everyone can do a lot more than they have ever done before if they just learn how. What is your most important value? Set long-term goals for your personal growth. Imagine that you have fully grown in every important area of your life 5 or 10 years from now. See yourself as exceptional in every way and refuse to give up on your personal dreams. What level of skill or ability would you have in your field? What level of status and prestige would you have achieved by doing a great job? What kind of character would you have developed? Imagine you had no limits on how you could grow in the coming months and years. Now turn your vision into clear goals. Here's a good way to start. Get a piece of paper and write down 10 goals you want to reach in the next few months and years for your personal and professional growth. Do this in the present tense, as if you were already the person you want to be. Make a plan for how you're going to reach your goal. Give yourself due dates for each step and smaller deadlines as well. Write down everything you need to do to be the best at that thing. Turn your list into a plan by giving each item a priority. Get the books, materials, tools, and other things you need to start working on yourself and your goal. Then do at least one thing right away. If one of your goals is to be the best at what you do, figure out how you'll know when you've reached that goal. Figure out how you can track your progress and judge your success. For example, you could track the number of hours you spend studying your goal each week, the number of books you read, or the number of audio programs you listen to. You could also track your progress by the number of appointments you make. First, you decide what your values are, what your vision is, what your goals are, and what knowledge and skills you need to reach them. You also decide how you will track your progress toward each of these things. Next, you do something every day that makes you better. For example, you read, take classes, listen to audio programs, and practice the new skills you've learned. And you never stop getting better. Decide on the habits and actions you need to do every day to become the person you want to become. These could be habits of clarity, planning, thoroughness, studiousness, hard work, determination, and persistence. Self-discipline is one of the most important traits for success. Author Albert Hubbard defined it as the ability to make yourself do what you should do when you should do it, even if you don't feel like it. You need to create 7 skills if you want to reach your full potential. You can learn each one by doing it over and over again until it becomes second nature. 1. The habit of setting goals every day. 2. The daily practice of making plans and getting things in order. 3. The daily practice of making a list of priorities. 4. The practice of focusing on your most important tasks every day. 5. The habit of working out every day and eating right. 6. The drive to learn and grow every day. 7. Making time every day for the people who are most important to you. You will almost certainly perform at the best level and get the most pleasure and benefits from everything you do if you follow these 7 rules. The formula for 1000%. If you follow this simple, useful, and tested self-improvement formula every day, you can double your income in the next few years. Most people who do this report amazing changes in their lives. Try it and see for yourself. I call it the 1000% formula. This formula is based on the law of incremental improvement, which says that change and progress happen slowly, over time. It takes your whole life to make a big difference. If you continually learn, study, and upgrade your skills, clarify and re-clarify your goals, set better and clearer priorities, and focus on progressively more valuable tasks, you could increase your overall productivity, performance, and output by 0.1% each day, day after day, indefinitely. Because of the law of increasing returns, every effort you make to be more productive in one area will tend to improve your performance in every other area at the same time. You will get better and better results in less time the more you practice. If you become 0.1% more productive each day, 5 days per week, at the end of 1 week, you will be 0.5% more productive, as 0.1% times 5 equals 0.5 or 0.5%. At the end of 4 weeks, you will be 2% more productive. That's 4 times 0.5% equals 2%. At the end of 52 weeks, you'll be 26% more productive than you were at the beginning of the year, which is 13 4-week months times 2% per month equals 26%. This is where the compounding effect of new knowledge and skill begins to work. An improvement of 26% per year, compounded over 10 years, will result in an increase of 1,004% in your overall productivity in 1 decade. We live in a merit-based society, which means that as you get better at contributing value, you will get paid more. For example, if you improve your total performance by 140%, your pay will finally go up to match the value of your contribution. So, here are the 7 steps in the 1,000% method that will make you at least 0.1% better every day, 0.5% better every week, 2% better every month, and 26% better every year. Start your day off right by getting up 2 hours early and reading something related to your field for an hour. This is known as the golden hour, and it sets the tone for the rest of the day. Turn off the TV and put down the newspaper for that hour, and focus on yourself and your thoughts. 2. Write out your big goals in a spiral notebook in the present tense, as if you had already reached them. Spend a few minutes doing this every morning before you start your day. This will program your subconscious mind to be on the lookout for chances to reach your goals all day. 3. Make plans for every day ahead of time. Write down all the things you need to do the night before. This way, your subconscious mind can work on your list while you sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you'll often have new ideas and insights that will help you reach your daily goals more quickly and easily. 4. Always focus on making the best use of your time. Pick the one thing that will make your work life better the most, and start working on it first thing in the morning. 5th, listen to educational audio programs in your car. This will turn your car into a mobile classroom or a university on wheels. Make sure that educational audio programs are always playing in your car. This is such a powerful habit that it will give you 1,000% bump in the years to come. 6th, after every experience, ask yourself 2 questions. What did I do right? And what would I do differently? These are like magic questions because they help you learn and grow faster from everything that happens. The law of concentration says that whatever you think about or focus on tends to make things better for you. The 7th and final component of the 1,000% formula is for you to treat everyone you meet like a $1 million customer. Treat each prospect or customer as if they had already purchased $1 million worth of what your company sells and were considering doing so again. 1.5% of people start working for the first time as adults. It's like a big marathon. Everyone lines up, the gun goes off, and everyone starts running. And then, just like in a marathon, some people get way ahead, while most people stay in the middle. So they just finished a 25-year study, which I think is one of the longest studies ever. Every month, they get paid almost $1 million for working. If they lost their job for any reason, another company would hire them right away and pay them $10 million a year. How is this possible? So researchers from a big university went back and thought, well, these people must be very smart. They must have special gifts. They must have set of special qualities or talents that could make them so successful in life. So they looked at their school records as well as their records at their first and second jobs, and guess what? These people were just average. When these people started their first job, the first thing they did was tell their boss, "Boss, I want to make a valuable contribution to this work, and I want to be successful in this company. What is the most important skill I could learn to make a bigger difference in the world?" And the boss would say, "Well, if you were very good at negotiating, or team building, or selling, or reading financial statements, if you were really good at this, then you would be much more valuable than an average person." So they would say, "Okay," and they would write down the development of that skill as a goal, just like a lesson plan for a subject in school. And they would go to work, and they would work on this one skill like a sniper rather than a machine gunner. They would work on a single skill, and it might take them a month, it might take some 3 months, and it might take them a year, but they would work every day on that skill. And here's the magic number. The magic number was 2 hours per day, 5 days per week, 10 hours in all, 2 hours per day of personal study on a single skill, 5 days per week. Knowledge and skill today are vital to your success. Knowledge and skill equals earning ability. Your knowledge and your ability to apply that knowledge to accomplishing a result for which customers are willing to pay is critical. People who get laid off don't understand that they have not kept their knowledge and skill high enough to justify their earnings, but they are becoming obsolete faster than ever before. See, that means that a job today can become obsolete in a week, a month, a year. New technology can obsolete an entire industry in a couple of years. So one of the questions you need to ask yourself all the time is this: what is your next career going to be? And here's the key question: what do you have to do now to bring your skills up to the point so that you can earn the kind of living and have the kind of lifestyle that you want in your next career? The key to your next career is personal excellence. It's getting to the top of the field where you are now, getting to the top of the field, and then to stay at the top of the field, to maintain and improve your lifestyle. What do you have to do? What do you have to be? Ask yourself, what one skill or set of skills could you give up that, if you became absolutely excellent at them, would have the most positive impact on your future? It's a good question, and it's one of my favorites ever. If you could improve your skills and become truly great at them, what one skill or set of skills would have the most good effect on your future? Your job is to figure that out. If you need to, ask your boss what it might be. Do everything you can to find out, and then work on those skills. Now, if you don't learn how to master change, you will become a victim of it. If you don't learn how to master circumstances, you will become a creature of them. You will just be tossed around by the waves of life. Continuous learning is the most important thing we've talked about when it comes to earning money, speeding up your career, reaching your full potential, and becoming everything you're capable of becoming. I can't stress this enough. I meet people from all over the world who come to America with nothing and, thanks to continuous learning, are able to do great things and make great money. You are the president of your own company, so take charge of your life and see yourself as a leader. Set the standard in your world and for your children. If you want your children to have a great life, you must also commit to continuous learning. See yourself as a role model, because all leaders do this. Set high standards for yourself and work every day to keep learning and making more money. There are 168 hours in a week, which is great. But if you want to be the best at what you do, make the most money, and be the most successful person in the world, you only need to spend 10 of those hours investing in yourself. That's it. This is how all the best people I've worked with, the presidents of some of the biggest companies in the world, do it. They spend 2 to 3 hours a week reading and improving their skills. You know who the third richest man in the world is? I'm talking about Warren Buffett. Last year, his total investments were worth $350 billion, making him the third or fourth richest person in the world. Last year, his profits were $25 billion. So, one question I sometimes ask adults is, how many hours a week do you spend studying new subjects to help you become more productive and valuable? They found that these experts, these highly paid people, saw earning potential as a ladder with steps. Each step is a skill, and when you learn a new skill, you also improve your ability to use your other skills. And every time you learn a new skill, you increase your earning potential. If you decide to stop moving up the success ladder at any point, you will level off, as most people do. But then you will start to fall, because the skills you have are becoming outdated at a fast rate, faster than ever before. If you're not constantly moving up the ladder, you're actually moving down the ladder, and people don't understand why their income isn't going up. It's because they aren't becoming more skilled. So, the best way for the highest paid people in the world to make more money is to learn a new skill every week. They spend 10 hours or more studying the one skill that can help them the most. As they keep moving up the ladder, learning becomes a habit, like watching TV or playing sports or something else. It's always a part of their lives. It's the ability to focus on one thing at a time and work on that one task until it's done. You have to be disciplined not to do anything else, or let emails, bells, bits, noises, and other things like that distract you. You have to be able to focus on a single task, like a laser beam. Napoleon Hill wrote a book after Think and Grow Rich called The Master Key to Riches. It has 260 pages and answers the question, what is the master key to riches? In the first paragraph he says, in this book you will learn the master key to riches. So it's a whole book of motivational ideas and principles, and the last line of the last chapter on the last page says, now you know the master key to riches is self-discipline. A friend of mine wrote a best-selling book a few years ago that basically said, whatever got you to where you are now won't keep you there. If you want to go further, you need to learn new skills. How long does this last? As long as you're surrounded by fast-changing information, technology, competition, and government policies. Some people say that everything is hard before it's easy. In the beginning, everything is hard, but later, it becomes easy and natural. At first, you have to force yourself to be disciplined, but that's when you start to feel happy. I've found the most wonderful thing. When you force yourself to start and finish a task or part of a task, you feel like an athlete. Now let me ask you a question. What do people call an athlete who wins a race? The winner, of course. I study this hundreds of thousands of hours, and what it says is that when you win, when you come in as the winner, your body releases endorphins, which are called nature's happy drug. They make you happy, and dopamine, which is a form of energy that you get from a positive experience. So, when you complete the task, your body releases these drugs, and you feel happy. They call it nature. The psychologists call it nature's happy drug. If you want to be happy, just start and complete a task, and you get a wow, feel happy. In fact, in some of my seminars, I say, here's a question for you. What are you learning today? Right. In other words, what is the subject that you are working on today? And what you should do is you should ask people at the break, say, what is your subject today? What are you working on? What are you learning about today? And everybody should have an answer. Well, today I'm working on strategy. Today I'm working on sales. Today I'm working on presentations. Today I'm working on team building. Everybody should be working on developing a new skill. Now we'll talk about what I call the basics. You know, we can't change the world, but we can always go back to the things that help us stay grounded. I think there are three basics. I get the idea for my name from an old story about Vince Lombardi taking over the Green Bay Packers. People asked him, "Are you going to change the running plays, blocking plays, bring in a new game book and so on?" He said, "No,